Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Weird World Podcast. I'm Carrie.
I'm Dean.
And today we have for you a weird bit about some weird news.
Yes. A weird bit, weird news. Is that anything? Maybe. I don't know. Let's find out.
How about just weird news?
I guess, but it's just one quick story. That is because it's all the rage these days in the weird world, in the world of weird. And as of course, the Trump administration releasing a whole bunch of files related to UFOs, or UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, the new word for UFOs that is very slowly becoming adopted. So recently, just a few days ago, the Trump administration released a bunch of photographs, videos, a lot of documents. It was sometimes people calling this like the UFO files, just from the last 80 years from federal agencies of stuff that had been kept secret. A lot of and some of it had been released before, it turns out. So it's not completely unreleased documents, but most of it has been unreleased documents that have been effectively unsealed. And I mean, culled from all kinds of different agencies like the Pentagon, the Department of Energy, NASA, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, and of course the White House files have all been FBI files as well, other U.S. intelligence agencies files from across the spectrum of the federal government. And essentially, remember, these are just, the idea is that these are unresolved. You know, there's this whole AARO, A-A-R-O, the anomalies research that's going on for the last few years. And essentially, remember, anything they can't explain with certainty is unexplained. It doesn't mean, I know I've said this before, it doesn't mean it's unexplainable. It just means we don't have a good explanation for it right now, given what we know. Sometimes it's because the evidence is sketchy. Sometimes it's just not clear. Sometimes there are rational explanations, but we just don't know. So it's officially labeled unexplained. I will say this, some of it's pretty interesting. Some of it is actually, I mean, yes, all the grifters on YouTube and everything are going to play it up and oh my God, this is incredible. This is impossible to explain. None of it is. Nothing in these files is like, boom, we're done here. Aliens exist. Drop the mic. Disclosure day is already coming past.
Right.
It's nothing remotely like that. But there is some of these things are actually pretty interesting. It's like that needs more study, which I've been saying forever. UAPs need to be studied. They are being studied. If anything, I think they need more resources. It has to be studied by rational, honest people, not by advocates like Avi Loeb and people like that who are just trying to, cash in.
Are they claiming this is everything?
No, there's more going to be released. They say it's going to be released on a rolling schedule. They haven't released any kind of a schedule, but more are to be released is what the administration has said. So some people have said, hey, there's no smoking gun here, but there are some interesting things. And here's some. They've released some transcripts from Apollo missions that have the astronauts describing things like, well, that's weird. Or we saw some flashing lights. We don't know what that was. Yeah. And from 1969 to 1972. So way back on the moon missions to Apollo. Most of Buzz Aldrin is quoted in one saying, I saw something weird. I can't explain it. We're almost certain it's a piece of the Saturn rocket that had boosted them off. It's just he just didn't recognize it in that context, but it was anomalous to him. It almost certainly was a piece of rocket. Yeah. There's something called the orbs launching orbs, which I'll talk about in a second. There's a bunch of studies, a bunch of sightings in military sites. Part of that is because there are more viewers around military installations. So whenever you hear some UFO advocates say things like, "Wow, yeah, they're more often cited around military installations because they're that's smart aliens. They're keeping an eye on us." That's a measurement bias. Effectively, they're being cited there because there's more people who are those intelligence agencies, there's military intelligence who's going to report these things, et cetera. So it doesn't mean UFOs are hanging out of military installations.
Are there more sightings around airports? Yes, for that same reason?
Yeah. There's a couple of cases by pilots that have sworn they've seen UFOs. So I have as my list of some stories to do one day. Is this one Japan Airlines pilot that saw it twice? He was absolutely certain he saw a UFO on two different occasions. There's also a lot of imagery. Most of it is very, very poor quality. It's like those are some blurry dots. I don't know what they are. So again, the most interesting thing may be these orbs. And like there's one YouTube video that says, super hot orange objects split at insane speed in chilling UFO files. That's absolutely not true. But there are these, it's called the orbs launching orbs file. And reports from May of 2026 of some federal agents of the U.S. government and some military folks witnessed these orange orbs in the sky, and they seem to be emitting smaller red orbs.
Wait, so like in the last week?
Yeah.
Wow.
Very recently. No, I'm sorry. It was released. They come from some unidentified late 2025 date. It's not made clearer. In fact, the person said quote unquote senior U.S. intelligence person was one of the witnesses, but that person has been unnamed. So, but very, very recent.
Yeah.
And they saw things. I mean, multiple federal agents and multiple military personnel have seen these things, and they're said to be super hot because they're being filmed. I mean, part of that could be of what they're being filmed with, but like they went really fast and they outran a helicopter, for instance. So there's that to me is probably the most interesting thing. There are, however, but again, there's going to be like News Nation and everybody on YouTube is going to play it up and exaggerate. Be careful where you get your information from. Try to stick to rational sources. News Nation not being one. And there are some possibilities. But the one I always think, is that it's the camera, it's the film. I know it's that's frustrating to folks who are advocates of UAPs and UFOs because you always blame it on the film or the video. But there's so much going on. There's so many artifacts when you visually interpret something with light and with reflection and refraction and things like that. There's just so much going on. I remember a lot of it's digital now, so it's interpreted by the computers effectively to be rendered into visual images. And
that's kind of a problem.
It's a huge problem.
Yeah.
A lot can go on there.
Yeah.
The two most famous, the Go Fast videos and the other videos, the two most famous and the two most intriguing videos out there, if those weren't UFOs, the vastly most likely thing is that there's some kind of artifact with the visual, with the camera, or with the computer interpreting what it was picking up.
Okay, but that's assuming that a person isn't seeing it with their eyes while they're recording it.
And people don't realize that they're not. It does assume. It assumes that they're seeing something, but exactly what it is can be reinterpreted visually.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of these things are being seen through cameras.
Exactly, yeah.
The pilots are basically in fighter jets. They're going so fast. They're very often effectively looking through cameras.
Yeah.
So, other people think it's just something, who knows what it was? The proverbial weather balloon. We just don't know. It could be something military. It could be a spy plane or something like that. We don't know. But those are interesting. Rational people, good witnesses, saw something pretty intriguing. And again, absolutely worth further investigation. Not proof positive that the aliens are among us.
Yeah.
That's you've just got to be smart about this. But it's been interesting. I'm glad they're doing it. I applaud the Trump administration for doing it. A lot of skeptics out there saying there's just nothing special here. And that's true. Sean Kilpatrick, who's the former head of the All-Domain Anomaly Research Office, the RO it's called, who's a smart guy and a very rational guy, he said, quote, "There's nothing unexpected in the release, and without any analysis or context, it will only serve to fuel more speculation, conspiracy, and armchair pseudoscience, particularly from the Playhouse Politics Theater Company," end quote. He's exactly right.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean he doesn't think there should be further research. I'm sure he does. But no smoking gun, really intriguing. Applaud them for doing that. Calm down, Trump administration, some of the quotes. Like, here's a quote from Trump. "Whereas previous administrations have failed to be transparent on this subject, with these new documents and videos," capitalized, of course, "the people can decide for themselves," all caps, "what the hell is going on." I mean, stop posting at 3 a.m.
But here's the thing. He wants this to dominate the news
Absolutely
for
does.
however long as possible.
Interesting you say that, because his new most hated person in the world, Marjorie Taylor Greene, a former congressperson from Georgia, former Trump lover, who now is very negative toward him, said on social media right away, said, quote, she called it, quote, "Look at the shiny object propaganda," and reference while the administration is fighting these foreign wars that are very unpopular. So that's literally exactly what she said. Essentially, it's also a way. Remember, as I've talked about previously, and it's really sad, is that a lot of UFO research has been, especially the conspiracy type of it, has been caught up with right-wing politics. It's the politicization of UFO research. It's awful. It can only hurt UFO research. But it's true. And so Trump, in a sense, by doing this, is playing very much to his base. That's why you see a lot of conservative people in Congress have played, like James Comer and some other, Tim Burchett and some others, have played to the UFO conspiracy audience, because it does also sadly plays to their political base as well, which is horrible. But it's true. So
well,
that's...
can I say something real quickly about
Sure.
the blind squirrel occasionally getting a nut named Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Never heard that phrase. Love that phrase. Sounds very Georgian to me, actually, oddly enough.
A blind squirrel occasionally gets a nut.
Not heard that in my life. I'm now in love with that phrase.
Well, she recently posted something to the effect that because the hantavirus, she's getting ivermectin.
She is.
So
I think I read that. I think she might have been joking. I'm not 1,000,000% sure. Don't get me wrong. She's a dumb one.
I don't think
ivermectin
so.
Can cure hantavirus.
Yeah.
Ivermectin, by the way, is an antiparasitical. Hantavirus is, as the name implies, a virus. Nothing that can be, an antiparasitical medication can solve. But.
Touted it for the coronavirus also. But no, I think she meant it because she was wacky around COVID. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good for her. Mm-hmm. President Barack Obama was recently, he was with Stephen Colbert, he was with some other talk shows. He's been talking about UFOs lately in the UAPs.
Really?
And he said straight, he's someone who said, I don't know, but I will say this, there ain't no green people in there. He said something like, there's no green people running around the White House. There's no bodies. There's nothing like that at all. Quote, for those of you who still think that we've gotten little green men underground somewhere, one of the things you learn as president is the government is terrible at keeping secrets, unquote. Been saying that forever. If there were little green men, we would have known about it decades ago.
Unless he's being clever. Because it's not a lie, because they're purple, not green.
Damn it, Carrie. You've seen through Barack Obama's clever little jest. So that's the story of the release of the UFO files. There'll be more coming later. I anticipate that. I think this is, again, I applaud the Trump administration for doing this. I don't know what their true motivations are. I suspect they're not for transparency. This is the most anti-transparent administration in the history of the country. Yeah. So it can't be that. But
it has a potential to be wacky, and they like to be wacky and weird. And
no, I think it's distraction plus political.
Absolutely
playing to the base.
Yeah.
It's playing to the base, and it's distracting for sure. But it's it's so what?
And if
don't look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm glad. I'm glad they do it. Or mouse.
And if he can use it to criticize every other previous presidential administration,
which shows that he's not. I mean, things are classified. There's just inertia in government. When things get classified, they tend to stay classified. That doesn't have to be malevolence behind that or hiding. Again, nothing here is earth-shattering.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of it's very recent, by the way, because there has been again through the Arrow initiative, there's been a lot more attention to cataloging and memorializing any kind of these interesting sightings. And again, specifically, they're seeking that from government folks, people in government, especially military sources as well. That again explains why you see a lot of this around military installations. But I'm applauding it. I'm waiting for the next one.
He's literally applauding under the table.
I did it above. Saying thank you for listening. That is our Weird News Weird Bit, UFO Files edition. I don't know.
Thanks for listening.
Okay.